Right now on the birds living in your own backyard, there are tiny bugs biting into their skin at the base of every single feather. And the cure for it isn't water, it's dirt. That's not a typo, and it's not a joke. When you see a bird throwing itself into a dry patch of dust, flapping around kicking up clouds of dirt, like it's having some kind of meltdown, most people assume it's just messing around. It looks chaotic. It looks pointless. Some people even try to chase the bird off thinking something is wrong with it. But that bird is doing something water could never do for it. It's running a full parasite removal treatment using nothing but plain dirt, and it's a survival skill so effective that scientists are still studying exactly how it works this well. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. Feather mites and lice don't just cause a little itching. Left unchecked, a heavy parasite load can wreck a bird's insulation, drain its energy reserves, and in young or already weakened birds, it can genuinely be fatal. This isn't some minor grooming habit. It's one of the most important health rituals in a bird's entire life, and most backyards don't have a single spot set up for it. So, right now we're going to look at exactly what's happening in that dust cloud, why it matters so much, and how you can build one of these dust stations yourself, with stuff you probably already have lying around. Let's talk about feathers first, because you need to understand what's actually being protected here. A single feather isn't just a piece of fluff. Under a microscope, it's built from thousands of tiny hooks and barbs that interlock like a zipper, row after row after row, holding the whole structure tight. It's not just for looks, it's high-tech gear. Seriously. Every part of it has to stay locked in place to actually work. Think about what that structure is up against freezing nights, downpours, and thousands of wing beats a day. And a small songbird is running on almost zero fuel reserve. On a cold winter night, some species survive on just 12 to 14 hours of stored fat before they simply freeze. There's no backup coat. So, if parasites start chewing through those feathers, the structure breaks. Heat leaks out. And for a bird with nothing in reserve, a leaky coat turns a normal night fatal. In fact, some infested birds have been found carrying thousands of individual mites at once, all feeding, all reproducing, and steadily wearing down that one layer of protection the bird depends on to survive. Left long enough, a heavy infestation can even affect a bird's ability to fly properly, since damaged, weakened feathers don't hold their shape the way healthy ones do. This isn't a rare worst-case scenario, either. It's a constant ongoing pressure every single bird deals with day in and day out for its entire life. This is exactly where water falls short. A splash in a bird bath is great for realigning feathers and rinsing off surface dirt, but it does almost nothing for parasites tucked down at the base of the feather right against the skin. Mites and lice live in a spot water simply can't reach effectively. So, birds evolved a completely different tool for the job, and it's sitting right under your feet. When a bird drops into a patch of loose, dry soil and starts rolling and flapping, it's working fine particles of dust deep down between the feathers all the way to the skin. That dust does two things at once. It soaks up the layer of excess oil sitting on the feathers, and it physically disrupts the parasites living down there, drying them out and knocking them loose so the bird can shake them off entirely. It's mechanical pest control. No chemicals, no medication, just dirt doing a job that water was never built to do. The whole routine usually only takes a few minutes, but watch closely and you can see the intent behind it. The bird fluffs every feather out, as far as it will go, drops down into the dust, and works its body side to side, almost like it's scrubbing itself against the ground. Wings flick dust up and over the back. The head tilts and rubs into the dirt too, covering spots the bird can't easily reach with its beak. Then just as suddenly it stands up, gives one hard full-body shake, and every bit of loose dust, along with whatever parasites it managed to knock free, goes flying off in a small cloud. It's fast, it's thorough, and it's built entirely around getting into the one area water can't touch. If you've ever watched free-range chickens dig themselves a little dust hollow and flop around in it for 10 straight minutes, that's the exact same instinct at work. It's not random, it's maintenance, and it's one of the oldest tricks in the animal kingdom, passed down through instinct alone, no learning required. Now here's the problem. A lot of modern backyards accidentally remove every place a bird could actually do this. Think about it. We've got perfect manicured lawns or maybe solid tile patios and mulch beds that are packed down so hard, there's literally nothing loose left on the surface. To us, it looks tidy. To a bird searching for a spot to clean itself, it can look like there's nowhere left to go, and that's a real gap, not a small one, because without an alternative, birds are left carrying a growing parasite load, with no way to deal with it. So, let's fix that, because building a dust station takes almost no effort. Grab a shallow tray, an old baking pan, or a plant saucer works fine. Fill it with a mix of dry, loose soil and clean sand. And if you have access to plain wood ash from a fireplace or fire pit, stir some of that in too, as long as it has no chemicals or lighter fluid residue in it. Wood ash is especially good at helping strip away that extra oil and giving parasites even less to hold on to, and a lot of experienced birders consider it one of the single best additions you can make to a dust station. Placement matters just as much as the mix itself. Set the tray somewhere with a bit of open sky above it. Birds like to see what's happening around them while they're mid-dust bath, since rolling around in the dirt leaves them momentarily distracted and a little exposed. At the same time, keep it near enough to a tree or shrub somewhere around 10 feet away, so there's a quick escape route if something spooks them. Not so close to thick brush that a cat could use it as an ambush spot, just close enough to feel safe. Once it's set up, keep the mix dry. A soggy tray after rain won't do the job, so a spot with a bit of overhead cover, even just a wide branch above it, helps keep the dust actually usable. There are a few mistakes worth avoiding once your dust station is in place, because a poorly set up one can do more harm than good. Skip anything treated with fertilizer, pesticide, or weed killer, since a bird working that material deep into its feathers is essentially rubbing chemicals directly against its skin. Avoid using potting soil straight out of a bag too, since a lot of commercial mixes are packed with added nutrients and moisture-retaining materials that clump instead of staying loose and powdery, which defeats the whole purpose. What you actually want is something closer to what you'd find in a dry, undisturbed patch of natural ground, fine, loose, and completely bare of any additives. Oh, and don't make the tray too small. If it's cramped, they won't even bother stretching out and rolling. Aim for something at least a foot or so across, if you can manage it roughly the size of an extra-large pizza pan. And don't feel like you need to keep it spotless. A little bit of use, some footprints, a slightly worn-down patch in the middle, is actually a good sign. It means birds are finding it and using it the way it's meant to be used. You'll notice this behavior goes into overdrive during late summer and early fall. That's when they molt and grow in a fresh set of feathers, which coincidentally is also right when parasite numbers peak for the year. Keeping a dust station well stocked and topped up during those months can make a massive difference right when they need it most. Plus, you're going to start noticing a ton of ground-dwelling birds like sparrows, quail, and towhees. They rely on dust bathing constantly, sometimes multiple times a week, so a reliable station actually draws in a way wider variety of visitors than a bird bath ever will. Once word gets around, you'll likely start noticing new species stopping by that never used to show up in your yard at all. While we're talking about backyard setups, it's worth mentioning the water side of things too, because a few small mistakes show up here just as often. The moment a bird is fully soaked is the moment it's the slowest and most exposed it will be all day. Wet feathers are heavier, balance is off, and that split-second burst of speed birds rely on to escape a cat or a hawk gets noticeably slower. Under normal conditions, a small bird can be off a branch and gone in a fraction of a second. Soaking wet, that same escape takes just a little longer, and in the wild a little longer, is often the entire margin between getting away and not. A lot of bird baths on the market work against birds without anyone realizing it. Smooth glazed ceramic gives feet almost nothing to grip, so instead of relaxing into the bath, a bird spends most of its energy just staying upright. Bowls with sides that are too high block a bird's view of its surroundings, and for an animal that survives by staying alert every second, losing that visibility is a real problem, even when the water itself is perfectly clean. And water deeper than about 2 inches can be genuinely difficult for a smaller or younger bird to handle safely, especially a fledgling that's only just learned to fly and hasn't built up much strength yet. None of these are dramatic failures. They're small oversights built into products that look perfectly reasonable on a store shelf, and every one of them is simple to fix. First, drop some flat stones into a deep bird bath to create a shallow shelf near the edges, giving smaller birds a place to wade in without being forced into the deep middle. To keep algae down without harsh chemicals, just toss in a safe enzyme-based bird bath clarifier, or honestly just Give it a quick scrub with a stiff brush when you change the water. And in freezing climates, a small, low-wattage bird bath heater keeps water from icing over, completely during the coldest stretches of winter, when liquid water becomes genuinely hard for birds to find anywhere else. But if you only do one thing after watching this video, make it the dust station. Water helps birds look good. Dust is what actually keeps them alive when parasites move in. And it's the one piece almost nobody thinks to add to their yard, even people who already have a bird bath, feeders and everything else set up perfectly. Look, a bird bath only gets you so far. Without a dust station, you're basically leaving them half clean. It's like taking a shower, but forgetting the soap kind of defeats the purpose. You really need both if you want to cover them, from the outer feathers all the way down to the skin. And birds notice. They come back to the same reliable spots again and again, which means over time, you start recognizing the regulars. The one that always overdoes it in the dust and ends up looking like it rolled through flour. The one that waits on the fence until the coast looks clear before committing. So, take a look at your yard. Is there a bare patch of dirt anywhere a bird could actually use? Or is everything covered in grass tile or mulch? Have you ever caught a bird mid-dust bath and wondered what on earth it was doing? Tell me about it in the comments. I want to hear what's been showing up in your backyard.